When I opened my eyes, an alien woman and her daughter were watching me closely when Marcus Chen's eyes finally opened. The first thing he saw was not the familiar gray ceiling of the Prometheus's cryo-bay, but two faces he had never seen before. They were close, uncomfortably close, studying him with an intensity that made his skin crawl. One face belonged to a tall woman with skin that shimmered like liquid silver under the bright lights. She had 4 arms, each ending in elegant fingers that were currently holding various scanning devices. Her eyes were large and deep blue, with vertical pupils that dilated as she noticed his consciousness returning. The smaller face beside her belonged to what could only be her daughter. The resemblance was unmistakable despite the alien features. The child had the same silver skin, though hers held a faint violet tinge, and her eyes were brighter, more curious than clinical. She couldn't have been more than 10 years old by human standards, though Marcus had no idea how these beings aged. Marcus tried to sit up, but his body wouldn't cooperate. Every muscle felt like lead, and his head spun with a vertigo that suggested he'd been horizontal for far too long. The woman placed one of her hands gently on his chest, easing him back down with surprising strength. She spoke, and to his amazement, he understood her perfectly. "Please remain still, Dr. Chen. Your muscular system has atrophied significantly. Movement should be gradual." Her voice was melodic, with harmonics that suggested she could produce sounds across a wider range than any human. "I am Ambassador Ciara of the Corvathi Empire, and this is my daughter, Larry. You are safe." The Prometheus had been en route to Proxima Centauri, carrying 15,000 colonists in cryosleep. He had been the chief medical officer, one of the last to enter suspension after ensuring everyone else was stable. The ship's AI should have woken them when they reached their destination, or in case of emergency. This was clearly an emergency, but nothing in the protocol had prepared him for waking up to aliens. "Where is my crew?" Marcus managed to croak out. His throat felt like sandpaper. "Where is my ship?" "Your vessel, the Prometheus, was discovered drifting in what we call the Corvathi Protection Zone 47 years ago. We found it purely by chance during a routine patrol." The Prometheus had left Earth in 2178. They should have reached Proxima in 2194, but 2247 meant that over 70 years had passed since launch. Something had gone catastrophically wrong. "The crew?" he asked again, though the sinking feeling in his gut already knew the answer. "Dead," Ciara said softly. "All 14,999 of them. Cryosystem failure, we believe. The cascade happened slowly over decades. By the time we found your ship, most of the pods had already shut down. Only yours remained functional, though we couldn't determine why. Your survival appears to have been entirely random." The families he had helped prepare for their new life, all gone. He had outlived them by sheer dumb luck, preserved like a specimen while they died in their sleep. "We kept you in suspension while we debated what to do," Ciara continued. "You see, Doctor Chen, you present us with a unique situation. You are the only human being that anyone in the Galactic Council has seen in over 50 years. Your species has become something of a ghost story. Earth sent out 12 colony ships. The Prometheus was the last to launch, but the others should have reached their destinations decades ago. There should be human colonies on at least 6 worlds by now. We found 3 of your ships, all like yours, dead. The others simply vanished. No debris, no distress signals, nothing. It's like they were erased from existence. And Earth, where your star should have been, there was only empty space. Even the quantum echo that normally persists after stellar events was absent. It was as if Earth and everything around it had never existed at all." Marcus would have fallen if he hadn't already been lying down. His entire species gone, Earth, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, all of it. And he was lying here, the last human alive, being studied by aliens like an interesting fossil. "Why did you wake me?" he asked hollowly. "Why not just leave me frozen? Why force me to know all this?" In the past 50 years, 17 star systems have gone dark in the same way. Different species, different locations, but the same result: total erasure. No survivors, no evidence, just empty space where civilizations used to be. The Galactic Council has been trying to find a pattern, a cause, anything that might help us prevent it. The erasures started in your region of space, right around the time your colony ships launched, and they follow the route your expansion was supposed to take. Many in the council believe your species triggered something, awakened some ancient defense mechanism, or attracted something terrible. You woke me up to blame me for the death of my entire species, and apparently 16 others as well. I've analyzed the patterns, the timelines, the quantum signatures. Something doesn't add up. I think whatever destroyed Earth and the colonies was already in motion before your ships ever launched. I think your species encountered something, and I think they tried to warn everyone who came after. But we need your help to understand the message. It showed star charts, timelines, and data streams that made his head spin. But one thing stood out clearly: the dates. The Prometheus had launched on September 15, 2178. The first colony ship, the Magellan, had launched in 2165. But according to this data, the erasure of Earth had occurred on August 3, 2178. That's impossible, Marcus whispered. The Prometheus left 6 weeks after that date. If Earth was destroyed in August, we would have known, we would have seen it. We were in the outer system doing final checks, and supply runs until mid-September. We've detected temporal anomalies in the quantum echoes, suggestions that the erasure didn't happen all at once, but rather across a spread of several months from different observational frames. It's as if whatever did this exists partially outside normal spacetime. What do you need me to do? There are files in the Prometheus's systems that are encrypted with human protocols we can't break. Personal logs, research notes, things that might contain clues. I've been stalling, ensuring you were stable enough for the revival process. Ciara gestured to Lyre. My daughter has been studying human physiology in preparation for your awakening. She'll be your medical attendant during the journey to the council station. I'm sure I'll need all the help I can get. She was fascinated by everything about him, constantly asking questions about human biology, culture, and history. It was exhausting but also oddly comforting. Her curiosity reminded him of his niece, who had been 12 when he left Earth, who was now dead and gone like everyone else he'd ever known. Ciara spent the time preparing him for what to expect at the council. She explained that the Galactic Council consisted of representatives from 47 different species, ranging from the ancient and powerful to newer members still finding their place. The mood in the council had been tense for years as the erasures continued. Many species were considering retreat to their home systems, abandoning space exploration entirely until the threat could be identified and neutralized. They're scared, Ciara admitted during one of their briefing sessions. And scared beings look for someone to blame. Some will see you as a victim deserving sympathy. Others will see you as a danger that needs to be contained. You must be prepared for both reactions. He wore a simple gray suit that Ciara had fabricated for him, the closest approximation to human formal where her systems could manage. He looked at himself in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. Thinner, older somehow despite the cryosleep, eyes haunted by loss. The council chamber was enormous, a spherical room with seating arranged in concentric circles around a central platform. As Marcus stepped onto that platform, thousands of eyes from dozens of different species fixed on him. The weight of their attention was crushing. He could feel their fear, their suspicion, their desperate hope that he held answers. The chief counselor, a massive being that looked like a cross between a tree and a jellyfish, spoke in a booming voice that the translators rendered into English. Doctor. Marcus Chen of Earth, last known survivor of humanity, you stand before the Galactic Council to answer for your species. What do you know of the Great Erasure? I know that I'm probably the last human in existence, and I know that whatever killed them is still out there, and you're all terrified that you're next. The council chamber erupted into chaos at Marcus's words. Delegates shouted in dozens of languages, their translators creating a cacophony of overlapping voices. Some demanded his immediate detention, others called for his protection, and a few simply sat in stunned silence. The chief counselor raised several of its appendages, and the noise gradually subsided. You speak boldly for someone in your position, the chief counselor observed. Your species vanished under mysterious circumstances, and the pattern of erasures follows the path of human expansion. Many here believe humanity discovered something they should not have, or awakened something that should have remained dormant. What evidence can you provide to counter these accusations? I can't provide evidence to counter them because I don't know what happened. I was asleep for 70 years while my entire species died. But I can tell you this. If humanity did encounter something dangerous, they didn't do it carelessly. We were explorers, yes, but we were also cautious. Every colony ship had extensive safety protocols. We studied every system before we entered it. If something went wrong, it wasn't because we were reckless. Your species broadcast radio signals into space for over 2 centuries before achieving faster-than-light travel. You announced your presence to the entire galaxy without knowing what might be listening. Perhaps your so-called caution was merely arrogance. But he also remembered the counter-arguments, the belief that remaining silent was itself a kind of death. We believed that intelligence in the universe was worth finding, worth talking to. Yes, that was a risk. But you're all here now, all these different species working together. Wasn't that worth the risk? Marcus's translator rendered it as, "Warning, erasure event detected. System KX-447 has gone dark. All ships are ordered to maintain current positions." Marcus watched as the chief counselor manipulated controls, bringing up a massive holographic display. It showed a star map with 17 systems marked in red, each one labeled with a date. The newest edition, KX-447, pulsed with an angry crimson light. The system had been home to a species called the Venthi, a peaceful civilization of aquatic beings, 3 billion of them according to the data scrolling beside the display. Now gone. "This is the 18th erasure," the chief counselor said quietly. "And it continues to follow the projected path of human colonial expansion. Dr. Chen, you will be confined to quarters under guard while we investigate this latest incident. This session is adjourned." Ciara caught his eye as he passed, and he saw something in her expression that might have been determination or perhaps defiance. The quarters they assigned him were comfortable but clearly designed as a cell. The door locked from the outside, and he could see surveillance devices in every corner. Marcus sat on the bed and put his head in his hands. Somehow, impossibly, things had gotten worse. Not only was he the last human alive, but his entire species was being blamed for an ongoing catastrophe. He sat there for what felt like hours, lost in dark thoughts, until a gentle knock came at the door. To his surprise, it opened to reveal Lyrae carrying a tray of food. One of the guards stood behind her, looking uncomfortable but not intervening. "I told them you need proper nutrition to recover from cryosleep," Lyrae explained, setting the tray down on the small table. "It's true, but I also wanted to check on you. Mother is in meetings with the council leadership, trying to convince them to let her continue her investigation." The sight of something resembling bread and vegetables made his throat tight with unexpected emotion. "Thank you, Lyrae. You didn't have to do this. Everyone you know is gone. Mother taught me that when someone is suffering, you help them if you can. It's basic decency. But you should know that being associated with me might not be safe for you or your family. A lot of people here think humans are responsible for the erasures. I've been studying the data since we found you. The timeline doesn't work. The first erasure happened before any human ship left Sol system. The pattern only looks like it's following human expansion if you ignore the dates and just look at the locations." "What do you mean?" "Even traveling at maximum speed, it couldn't have reached theta decline before the erasure, and the same pattern holds for most of the other incidents. The erasures were happening in those regions of space before human ships could possibly have arrived. But there was something else there, something nagging at the edge of his awareness. Can you show me the paths the colony ships were supposed to take?" Marcus stared at them, and suddenly he saw it. The erasures weren't following the ships themselves. They were following something else. "The survey probes," Marcus said softly. "Before we sent the colony ships, we sent out automated survey probes to scout the systems. They were fast, unmanned, and they broadcast their findings back to Earth on a continuous basis. They would have reached these systems years before the colony ships launched. And they would have been transmitting constantly, sending signals across space. What if it's drawn to radio waves, quantum transmissions, any kind of communication across space?" Marcus felt his heart racing. This was the first real lead anyone had found. The probes would have been screaming their presence to every system they entered. And Earth was broadcasting for over 200 years before we even sent them out. "They've already decided he's guilty. We need proof." If we can analyze the last transmissions, look for any anomalies or patterns, we might find something. The ship's AI won't release them without proper authorization, and you're the only human left who might have that authorization. Where is it now? I could potentially arrange transport, but it would take official approval. Your mother is risking a lot by helping me. I don't want to put you in more danger. You have a saying, in for a penny, in for a pound. I'm not entirely sure what it means, but I think it applies here. Are you sure about this? And I'm sure that mother didn't raise me to stand by and do nothing when I can help. If she requests access to the Prometheus for research purposes, with her daughter as her assistant, it would likely be approved. And if Dr. Chen happened to be needed to unlock the encrypted files, well, that would just be practical. You're willing to bend the rules like this. Why? The pattern is moving toward us. If you can stop this thing, I don't care what rules I have to bend. She arrived at Marcus's quarters with official authorization and a security escort that included their helpful guard. She looked tired but pleased. The council has granted me 48 hours to examine the Prometheus more thoroughly, she explained as they walked through the station's corridors. They're desperate enough to allow it, though they've assigned additional guards to monitor our work. I hope you weren't planning anything dramatic, Dr. Chen. He was a temporal physicist before the accident that took him from us. The vessel looked worn, its hull scarred by decades of drift through space, but it was still recognizable. It was the last piece of human civilization left in the universe, and he was about to search it for clues to humanity's destruction. The interior was cold and dark. Emergency lighting provided only minimal illumination as they made their way to the command deck. Marcus's footsteps echoed in the command deck of the Prometheus was exactly as Marcus remembered it, frozen in time like a museum exhibit. The captain's chair still bore the indentation where Commander Park had sat during their final conscious hours. Coffee cups sat on consoles, their contents long since evaporated to dust. Personal photos were still stuck to monitors, showing faces of people who had trusted this ship to carry them to a new life. Marcus moved to the main terminal and placed his hand on the biometric scanner. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the system hummed to life, lights flickering across the board as the ship's AI recognized his authorization. A synthetic voice filled the bridge, speaking English with a slight feminine lilt. Welcome back, Dr. Chen. Current date is March 14, 2247. You have been in cryosleep for 71 years, 2 months, and 6 days. I apologize for the delay in revival. Primary systems experienced catastrophic failure in year 2201. I have been operating on minimal power since then, maintaining your pod as the sole priority. Thank you, he said quietly. I need to access the survey probe telemetry data, everything we received before the crew entered cryosleep. I will provide what remains intact. The main screen filled with streams of information, coordinates and sensor readings from the dozens of probes humanity had sent out into the darkness. Ciara and Lyrae moved closer, their translators working to convert the technical readouts into something they could understand. Marcus began scrolling through the data, looking for anything unusual. The probes had been sophisticated pieces of technology, equipped with sensors that could detect everything from chemical compositions to electromagnetic anomalies. They had sent back constant streams of data for years before the colony's ships launched. Most of it was routine, the expected readings of lifeless star systems waiting to be explored. But then he found something. Probe 247, assigned to survey the Theta decline system, had sent back increasingly strange readings in the months before it went silent. The electromagnetic spectrum showed distortions, as if space itself was bending around an invisible mass. Then the probe's final transmission, dated October 2162, showed a spike in dark matter concentrations that should have been impossible. Look at this, Marcus pointed to the readings. The probe detected something massive moving through the system, not a ship, not a planet, but something that warped space-time around it. And then the transmission just stops. What if it came to investigate the source of the broadcasts? Every location where we found probe data shows the same distortions weeks or months before the erasure events. But there's something else here. The probes were all broadcasting on similar frequencies, using quantum entanglement for faster-than-light communication. That technology leaves a signature in subspace. And whatever this thing is, it can detect those beacons. The moment they activate it, they become visible to this thing. Every ship, every station, every planet with quantum communication technology is a potential target. If this thing is drawn to quantum signals, then we've been painting targets on ourselves this whole time. It is marked as personal correspondence, coded to your biometric signature only. Would you like me to decrypt it? Play it. Her eyes were tired but intense, and Marcus could see the telltale signs of stress in the lines around her mouth. Marcus, her recorded voice said, and he had to grip the armrests of the chair to steady himself. If you're seeing this, then you woke up out there somewhere and I'm already gone. I'm so sorry, my love. Sorry that I couldn't wait for you. Sorry that we never got to have those children we talked about. Sorry that you're alone now. But I need you to know what happened, because you might be the only one who can stop it from happening to others. Massive dark matter concentrations moving through space, following the paths of our quantum transmissions. At first, we thought it was a natural phenomenon, maybe some kind of exotic matter we hadn't encountered before. But then it changed direction. It started moving toward Sol's system, and it was accelerating. The thing had already locked onto us. Dr. Yuki and her team theorized that it wasn't just following active signals, but could detect the quantum residue left behind by years of broadcasts. We had already condemned ourselves just by existing as an advanced civilization. Reality itself seems to fold around it, and when it passes, there's just nothing left. No debris, no radiation, just empty space. We watched it consume Mars in under an hour. We have maybe 6 days before it reaches Earth. Ciara had placed one of her hands on his shoulder in silent support, while Lyra stood frozen, watching the screen with wide eyes. Sarah continued, her voice steadier now as she slipped into her professional mode. But we found something, Marcus, something important. There are older quantum signatures out there, ones that predate any known civilization. We detected them in a region of space that all the probes avoided, a void where no stars shine. The signatures are billions of years old, but they're still active, still broadcasting. Whatever created them survived this thing, or at least learned to hide from it. I modified the translator chip you had installed before the mission. It's not just for language anymore. It's a map, Marcus. A map to something that calls itself the Silence. They're old, older than stars, and they know about this thing that's hunting us. They might be the only ones who can help. But if there's any chance that you can save others from what's happening to us, then you have to take it. Find the Silence. Learn what they know. And Marcus, when you think of me, remember the good times. Remember our wedding on the beach. Remember that terrible camping trip where we got lost and you tried to navigate by moss. Remember making love under the stars. Don't remember this. Don't remember the end. Sarah looked up, fear finally showing on her face. It's here. It's at the lunar orbit. Marcus, I have to go. The others are waiting. We're going to try to get as many people off-world as we can, but I don't think we'll make it. I love you. I love you so much. Find the Silence. Stop this thing. Make our deaths mean something. And she had given him a purpose, a direction when he had nothing else left. Lyra was the first to break the silence. Your implant, can we access the coordinates? The ship's medical bay should have the equipment to interface with it. But even if we get the coordinates, what then? The Council has me under guard. They're not going to just let me fly off to some mysterious location, based on the word of a dead woman. Lyra, how much do you remember from the lessons your father gave you about temporal physics? Why, if this silence has survived for billions of years while this thing has been erasing civilizations, then they have knowledge we desperately need. The Council is too afraid to act, too paralyzed by bureaucracy. By the time they make a decision, a dozen more species will be extinct. You don't know how to fly Council ships, you don't have navigation charts for this region of space, and you'll be arrested the moment you try to leave the station. You need me, and I need you to unlock whatever secrets this silence is keeping. She turned to her daughter. Lyra, I'm giving you a choice. We can take you back to the station where you'll be safe, or you can come with us. But if you come, you need to understand that we might not come back. We might be branded as criminals. Our family name could be disgraced. Mother, 18 civilizations are gone. Billions of people are dead. If we do nothing and this thing keeps killing, how could I live with that? How could you? Father always said that knowledge was worth any price. Let's prove he was right. We have maybe 6 hours before anyone realizes what we're doing. The interface with his neural implant took only minutes, and suddenly a three-dimensional star map appeared in the air above them. The coordinates led to a region of space that Marcus had never seen on any human star chart. It was marked on council maps as the absence, a vast area where sensors detected mass, but no light escaped, no signals penetrated. Most species avoided it, treating it as a natural phenomenon best left unexplored. Now Marcus understood that it wasn't being avoided by accident. Something there wanted to remain hidden. Ciara's ship was small but fast, designed for diplomatic missions that required discretion. She had named it the Wandering Light, after a Corvathi philosophical concept about seeking truth in darkness. As they slipped away from the station under the cover of a fabricated emergency maintenance run, Marcus couldn't help but feel they were living up to that name. The journey would take 4 days at maximum speed. 4 days during which the Council would realize they had gone rogue. 4 days during which more systems might fall to the erasure events. 4 days to wonder if they were flying towards salvation or just a different kind of death. Lyrae spent most of the first day teaching Marcus how to read Corvathi navigation displays and operate the ship's secondary systems. She was a patient teacher, explaining everything twice and never making him feel foolish for his ignorance. Ciara piloted with intense focus, constantly adjusting their course to avoid the major shipping lanes where Council patrols might spot them. On the second day, they received the first communication from the Council. The chief counselor's voice filled the cabin, resonant with anger and disappointment. Ambassador Ciara, you are hereby ordered to return to Council Station Gamma immediately. You have violated your authority by removing the human prisoner from custody and fleeing Council space. If you do not comply within 12 hours, you will be declared renegades and subject to arrest. She spent her entire life building our family's reputation in the diplomatic corps. They might believe it. My husband used to tell me that sometimes the right thing and the legal thing aren't the same. I never really understood what he meant until now. I know this isn't easy, leaving everything behind. And now we might actually meet one. The silence could teach us things that no one else in the galaxy knows. We're flying into this completely blind. She seemed like a smart person. If she thought the silence were worth finding, then I trust her judgment. Ciara had to reduce their speed significantly, navigating by instruments that were giving increasingly erratic readings. The star field outside became distorted, stretched, and compressed like a reflection in warped glass. We're entering the absence, Ciara announced. All external communication is being dampened. If something goes wrong now, no one will hear our distress call. It wasn't just the absence of stars, but something deeper, as if light itself was being absorbed by the void. Their ship's running lights seemed dim, struggling against the oppressive blackness. Then they saw it. A structure so massive that Marcus's mind initially refused to accept the scale. It was a sphere that enclosed an entire star, capturing all its light and energy. A Dyson sphere, something that had been theoretical speculation in human science, rendered real and impossibly ancient. How old is this thing? Marcus whispered. Lyrae was frantically scanning it with every sensor available. The materials are degraded in ways that suggest billions of years. This was built before most of the current stars in the galaxy even formed. Before the Council, before humanity, before almost everything we know. Not a radio transmission or quantum communication, but something that bypassed their technology entirely and spoke directly into their minds. The sensation was deeply unsettling, like hearing thoughts that weren't your own. You come seeking the silence, the voice said, speaking in perfect English to Marcus, perfect Corvathi to Ciara and Lyrae simultaneously. You are the first visitors we have had in 3 million years. You must have desperate need to risk entering our domain. We believe you know something about it, something that might help us stop it. Then the voice returned, tinged with what might have been sadness. Enter, we will show you what you seek to know, but be warned, some knowledge cannot be unlearned. Some truths will haunt you forever. The entire inner surface was inhabited, billions of structures clinging to the shell like barnacles. In the center, the captured star burned bright and warm, providing limitless energy. But there were no electromagnetic emissions, no radio waves, no quantum signals. Everything here operated on different principles, technologies that left no trace in normal space. They were guided to a landing platform where beings waited to greet them. The silence were unlike any species Marcus had encountered in council space. They appeared as translucent figures, almost ghost-like, their forms constantly shifting as if they existed only partially in normal reality. They communicated entirely through direct mental contact, their thoughts flowing into the minds of their visitors with crystal clarity. "Welcome to our refuge," one of the beings said, stepping forward. Its form suggested a vaguely humanoid shape, but details were impossible to fix. "I am called Keeper in your languages, as close to a leader as we have. You have come seeking answers about the pruner. It is not a living being in the way you understand life. It is a machine created billions of years ago by a civilization that achieved heights you cannot imagine. They built it to protect the universe from a threat they detected, but could not fully comprehend. A civilization of beings made of pure energy, constructing megastructures that spanned galaxies, manipulating the fabric of reality itself. The builders, as we call them, detected something in the spaces between universes. A kind of infection, a chaos that consumed ordered reality and replaced it with madness. They theorized that this infection was attracted to certain frequencies of energy, particularly the quantum signatures generated by advanced civilizations. So they built the pruner to detect these signatures and eliminate them before they could attract the infection. But the builders are long gone, destroyed by the very infection they feared. The pruner continues its work, but its programming has degraded over billions of years. It no longer discriminates between civilizations that are truly at risk and those that are not. It simply eliminates any quantum signature it detects, believing it is protecting the universe. How did you escape the pruner? We generate no detectable signals. To the pruner, we don't exist. It is the choice we made, but we have watched the pruner for eons, studied its patterns. There may be another way. The pruner is ancient, but it is still a machine. It can be reprogrammed if one could reach its core systems. But those systems are located in the builder's construction facility, a structure orbiting a dead star in a region of space the pruner guards jealously. Could we actually reprogram this thing? In all our years of observation, we have only seen one thing that gave the pruner pause. Your technology developed in ways that violated the pruner's predictive models. For the first time in billions of years, it encountered something it didn't immediately understand. It studied your signals for months before moving to eliminate Earth. That hesitation was unprecedented. But there is a complication. The facility is not undefended. When we detected your human colony ship, the Odyssey, it was on a trajectory toward the builder's graveyard. We tried to warn it away, but our signals couldn't reach it in time. The ship crashed on the facility world. We detected no survivors initially, but recently we have detected faint life signs. Humans may still live there, trapped in the one place the pruner protects above all others. Then we need to reach them. If there are humans alive, they're my people, my responsibility. And if we can rescue them and reach this core system, maybe we can end this thing once and for all. You would risk everything on such a slim chance? The pruner has destroyed countless civilizations. What makes you think you can succeed where billions have failed?